So this is part 2 of my interview. So wow, that's hot.
It worked out.
It was.
I have some Halloween paint, facial paint, but that's roughly what I'd like to try to get.
Ooh, okay.
Go ahead.
Simon Forster's scene, APA 20, take 1.
Good.
Because I'm still kind of iffy on the aggressiveness.
It's okay.
Yeah,
I'm
good.
figuring out. We'll just give him lots of different stuff.
Yeah. 3, 2, 1, action.
That's if you make it back.
Never thought about it like that, but now that you said that, I think that's exactly why I'm more willing to be in films all the time, is because it's just different. It's just something to do, you know? I don't have much to do with me working all the time.
That looks good on you. I have not worked on any films in the past. This was definitely my first time, and it was a fun experience.
I've worked on a couple films in the past. I played a small part in Redux in the funeral scene, and then also the main character in Visions.
It's more like a hot dog.
He normally smells like a hot dog, but today more so than usual.
So what made you want to be in this movie?
Nick pays very well.
Ah. And
He
so,
doesn't know that, but he pays very well.
100,000 every now and then, or
It's a kickback, yeah.
or is it just 100,000 hot dogs?
Gluten-free hot dogs. Nick and I like trade favors back. That sounds bad. I'm going with that. Nick and I trade favors. He works for me, I work for him. It's kind of been very beneficial, mutually beneficial.
I enjoy freaking children out.
Yeah.
Get it right.
Just children.
Children specifically.
Why?
Because I know that I'll get a reaction out of them. Adults are just kind of like, they just go on.
Why do you think that is?
I think they're just kind of desensitized by the news. Other countries being blown up or whatever. Oh, another person's got murdered. Oh, somebody broke in. Aside from the whole, well, it's not going to happen to me mentality, they think, oh, it's just another day, another robbery, another murder. I'm sure that's like the least weird thing they've come across. And I should know I've cosplayed like several different characters. I've gender bent costumes and stuff. I am the least weird thing they've probably seen.
I'm the hazmat guy.
Which hazmat guy?
The shorter one.
And things to do.
No, there's nothing to do here. There's nothing to do here. It's Sioux City, Iowa. Population, 80,000 people maybe. And yet there's nothing to do. Maybe because I've lived here my whole life, I've done everything. People from Lincoln, Nebraska, people from Sioux Falls coming here, they might be thinking, oh my god, this is awesome, but me, ain't nothing to do here, honestly. I don't think.
I guess I just kind of generally I like working with my hands. I like making things. I like making, physical things. Like, tangible, props and stuff. Or working with makeup, even though I can't actually do my own makeup, if you couldn't tell. I don't know, I just like to make things. And I don't know, just the costumes and props and makeup. I mean, as a kid I did skits for my family and stuff. And I didn't think twice about it because I thought, hey, I got this cool idea, let's perform it in front of my parents, or let's perform it whenever grandma visits. And I've always just been a theater kid, too.
I just like to help whenever I can.
Is there any particular part off screen that you'd wanna?
No.
No?
Probably not.
You guys are gonna laugh, but I make cookies for a living. That's what I do for a living. I make cookies.
I love movies. Pure and simple. Some people play sports. Some people watch football. I have an asthma attack just watching video games of football. So I just love movies. Always have. So.
Even though sometimes when I'm on set, we're racing the clock and trying to get things done, it's kind of hectic. It's always fun to me because I'm hanging out with people that I consider to be my friends, and I'm doing something that I consider to be an important part of my life in both myself and the people that I'm associated with, as well as giving other people that I do not know an experience that I hope they enjoy.
I think it's the idea that I'm able to tell stories through this method. Because, well, I'm okay being just like a side character in a play, but I guess with film, it's like a permanent memory.
Got a couple of his smaller films, but nothing like this.
When I was born, I had a hearing infection, and it made me and I was getting raised across the country. I was getting raised in different countries, Japan, Germany. It was really hard to pick up English, but because of that, I became a very visual person, and so movies were a big thing to me growing up. And since there was not a lot of things in English.
So yeah, as I look back to the zombie blood up in the corner, I remember I actually used to drink the red one, the red bags on the bus, surrounded by little children in elementary school. And I wore them scarecrow fangs and stuff, and I used to be referred to through my senior year as the creepy vampire lady on the bus. I legit scared the shit out of these little kids. I just have them in, and I just look over to them like I was in the office.
But it's easy money, so I can't really complain, besides spending all my time there.
We had a huge collection of films which accumulated into that. And just that's over a whole span of time. And so I got really hooked in the movies, and then I started, like, before I even knew what I was doing, I started planning like how I would make this, writing stories and whatnot. And I became a very visual and creative person.
My household is Tuesday through Saturday. I get off at 7, 11 in the morning, go home, stay up till 1 in the afternoon, 10 in the morning, whatever time I get off, and then I sleep until 9:30 at night. Wake up, go back to work. So my household living is not the greatest. I eat and sleep. That's all I do.
At least since elementary school, performing annual Christmas plays or whatever, like with the entire elementary.
Because I had the strong interest in film, I was able to dedicate myself to getting the knowledge and experience in order to get to that point, because eventually I'd like to be as famous, or as, well, I guess fame's not really important. I couldn't make any money from most of my movies other than just enough to make the next one, and I could do that until I'm like dead, and I'd still be happy because I'm still doing what I enjoy doing. It's not easy a lot of it sometimes, but I like making movies. It's what I like to do. I find it to be a hobby, I guess, and that's what I want to keep doing.
But funny story is, though, as a kid, I wanted to be either one of two things. That was either be a Hooterite, like what
A what?
a Hooterite.
You know what that is?
No. A Hooterite is essentially like an Amish person, kind of up in Montana, kind of Canada. No. The reason why I wanted to be like a Hooterite was because they wore black. And then I realized that, if I'm a Hooterite, I have to dress like the Hooterites in terms of I have to wear a dress. And I was like, nope, never mind. So as a kid, I wanted to wear black. I was a goth kid all the way, like all the way through and through.
I received my education from a school called Western Iowa Tech, or WIT for short, in Sioux City, Iowa.
As my education at Western Iowa Tech was coming to an end for independent film, I felt that in the past, whenever I would learn things that were the technical side of things like Photoshop and photography and other things that I've had an interest in, if I hadn't done it on a daily basis, that I would slowly start losing that knowledge. And so this, in a way, is an attempt for me to not only preserve what I've learned so far, but to increase it.
Well, there's plenty of jobs that incorporate a film, or somebody who is experienced in film, either in photography, just general sports recordings like at Tyson Event Center, news stations, always or usually hiring a lot of people.
The classes that I took for independent filmmaking revolved in a variety of areas. They revolved obviously around camera, audio, computer for doing the editing, and even that was split. So it was just a bunch of them.
Bigger crew, bigger budget, bigger crew.
Logan.
Logan.
Locally, there are usually options, but if you want higher paying, more glamorous jobs, you're probably going to go either out west or up north.
The instructor that I had for filmmaking is Mike Northrup, aka Professor. The one that I did for independent filmmaking was Andrew Gingrich.
Well, I'd have to say, since Cyber Enforcer at this time is my most recent project, I believe it to be my best so far. But I'm sure it won't be my best for when the next one comes out. It's been a growing process. With each film that I work on, I steadily get better and better at my ability to tell stories, camera work, sound.
You could almost say that it's a male-dominated field, but that's the reason why I would say it's like that is because not many women go into it because they want to or they see any merit with it, or at least, well, that could be said the same about anyone going into film. They don't see any merit in going into it because they don't think that if you go into filmmaking, you're either going to be a loser or you're going to make it big time. There's no in between, or at least they don't think that there's anything outside of big director and actors.
When I finally figured out I wanted to do film, it was mostly by myself. I wasn't like a loner when I was a kid. It's I've had groups of friends. It's just not hardly any of them were like, oh, I want to make a movie, or they had other things, goals for life. And anytime I tried convincing them to join me in making a movie, at first they were like, oh yeah, that'd be great, we should definitely do that, and then about not even halfway through they kind of like lose interest and then they kind of bail on me. But since then I moved to Sioux City, Iowa in 2007, halfway through my high school career, and since I've lived here, I've met a lot of people who share that common interest, especially with the independent film program that opened up at Western Iowa Tech early 2012, I believe. But ever since then, and I cannot even
come close to straining how amazing it is to have people who have a common interest in filmmaking. It's so rare to have that many people interested in that sort of thing in one spot, especially out in the middle of Iowa. There's like nothing. I mean, it's out in the middle of the Midwest. There isn't a lot, so you kind of have to create your own fun, which is good and bad in certain ways.
Action, horror, comedy. That's true.
I'm not normally the type to watch a movie such as Cyber Enforcer. I'm definitely into the fairy tales, princesses, and although I do watch Doctor Who, because, I mean, who doesn't?
Yeah, and I'm really into just good films in general. As long as it's not a bad ending or just completely contrived bullshit, I'm good with it.
We done it so much that it's just boring now. I mean, you have to have a bride when you film. I mean, look on the wall behind me. Look at all the movies. I mean, they're hardly nothing the same in any of those movies. So, I mean, some of them has vampires, some of them has demons, but like horror stuff, they're not all horror, and it just was boring. So I don't mind it, I enjoy it, but it was just getting kind of boring because the last 4 films we did were all about demons and everything, and it was just boring.
Well, I remember we would flee in terror as Tales from the Crypt would show up on the television because we hated the opening theme. And now I find that show just like the corniest but the most hilarious show I've seen. 'Cause I like paranormal stuff. I like paranormal programs like Mountain Monsters and stuff. It's probably trademarked. they're gonna sue us.
Nah.
But I'm thinking probably the first film was somewhere like some Disney, some old classic animated Disney.
Okay.
I'm not sure which one it was.
Well, for me, it all goes back to when I was a kid, movies. And I saw the original Star Wars. It wasn't just, oh, that's a cool movie. It was also the fact of there had never been special effects like that before. And it just was like, how did they do it? So.
Personally, so far, I'd have to say the stripper scene. But
It did create quite a few laughs
yeah,
around everybody.
A lot of funny jokes and shit. The thing I'll be looking forward to after that will probably be the fight scene, though, with Troy.
Comedies, horror movies. Turn of the century poetic farces.
Yeah.
And then horror movies.
Nah, man. Just action adventures is what I like. Thrillers, I guess, is what the category is. But I'm good with anything. I can do comedy. I can definitely do comedy. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, like the original, Disney princess circle.
Well, I seem to have a tendency more towards the darker type of character, one who's perhaps like struggling through some sort of depression or some sort of mental anguish. But an ideal world for me would be somebody who's just going completely insane, basically.
Well, now I don't feel so bad about my answer. I was going to say a murderer, so, someone with something bad that happened and taking it out. But, as a woman, doing it the proper way with, like, poison and then stabbing him 20 billion times.
Talk about psycho.
Wow. I mean, that's pissed you off.
I do think we have a movie for that. So sexy nurse, psycho killing.
Sexy nurse
That's a title
stabbing
right there.
someone.
Sexy psycho killer nurse.
Dan will be the victim.
Stab someone and then be the sexy nurse that cares before
And then
them.
she slowly moves up.
I'll be the depressed victim.
The horror, yes. Suspension, like Evil 1 and Evil 2, it was horror, but it was kind of suspension as well. If you do some more suspension stuff, you know what I mean.
I don't know, an action hero, I guess.
Oh, fuck you. I hate it when people ask me this question.
What's your top 5? Like if your
now
house,
that's even worse, man.
well, okay,
That's even worse.
If your house was burning down, you have all these movies because you love film, as the rest of us do. So what would be your top 5 that you like would grab in a split second?
Well, right now they're all in a tub, so more than likely I just drag everything out the back door.
That's what I did too. So once you have a script formed and have had, like, you go through the brainstorming process, you get a handful of really good ideas, and then once you pick one finally, you go through your first draft of script writing. You send it out to some fellow friends that are mutually interested in the project. They give you your feedback. You fix things that are bad. You increase things that are good. You tweak it. You get through a couple drafts until you're satisfied with it. Try to get as good as you believe it's going to get.
I avoid society because they want me to avoid society. It's not my choice. They want me to go away. When I write, like I said, I'll plan in my head. It's like Zen writing. I will be thinking about it in the back of my head while I'm driving, mowing. When I was younger, when I worked out, I would think of story ideas. That stopped, obviously. But when I'm driving, or listen to music, and I'll just stare at the screen. In film school, it was fun because I would sit there and think of an idea, put on the headphones, listen to music, and then I would watch the guy across from me, wonder what the hell I'm doing, because I'm just sitting there for like 2 hours, just, And then when I know I'm going to start at, and I start writing, and it really does. It's kind of like the same with scheduling. I don't waste writing's never a waste of time, but I don't tend to type it out until I know where it's going to be. So I don't write a sentence down and go what happens next. I tend to know where it's going to happen. Then I just, and this is screenwriting. Because screenwriting, it's like I have the entire story in my head, visually, dialogue, and characters. So I've seen the movie, and now I'm just writing the map down to it. When I'm writing prose, I'm doing a short story or a book, then it's more exploratory. And I'll write a page or a chapter, then go, I don't know what's happening next, and I'll think about it. And then the magic of writing comes in prose, because then when you're actually writing is when it happens, I think. When I try and pre-plan a short story, it never works out. Then it becomes really flat and really flaccid. And it looks like someone's writing a roadmap, because I know where it's going to happen. There's no surprises. When I'm writing a screenplay or something, then I know what's going to happen the whole time. And I have the little tricks, and I have the visual tricks, the turn at the end. But it's very much it's all with music, all headphones on. If I have open window by me, I can't get crap done. If I have anything that distracts me in the real world, I can't do it. If someone's in the house a lot of times, so it is, and I'll ask my fiance or my kid, okay, I'm going to be working here. I have headphones on. If you need me, tough shit. I'm gone. I mean, knocking the door, but I'm not going to hear you. I have headphones on. As far as the process goes, it's nothing. The music has to be on. Odd thing is, it's something that I have to know, but not know too well. The radio doesn't work because it has to be a kind of a through line. If I know the song too well, like if I put on an album I have, like a CD I have, CDs are like music from the old days. If I know it too well, I start listening to it, and I like the words of the song. It's like in my head, I don't actually write that well. And if it's brand new, I'm like, oh, what's this music? So it's got to be something that I've had in my collection. Like, say you have a CD, you like a song on it, I'll play the CD, but I'll skip the song I know.
The brainstorming, of course, first and foremost comes from yourself. But with the fact that you are working with a team, you get to run it past other people and get their opinion. Like if I were to start this from the absolute beginning, first you have somebody come up with an idea and write it down in a script. Then the next thing to do is run that script past other people who might also be interested in help making the film. Then after that, and this comes with during making the film is, what does the cameraman think of how the shot should be made with the lights? How should the audio be doing it? The lighting people, where can they get that in play? How should that script be turned around for those shots? What should be eliminated? Etc., etc.
I used to listen to scores all the time, just to try that. Like Tim Burton, his buddy boy, Danny Elfman has a CD of like all of his music. So you have like the theme song to Darkman and Batman and Beetlejuice on there. I thought it'd be perfect. I think the CD was called like Music for a Darkened Theater. And I thought it'd be perfect to play. It's just music scores, it'd be inspiring. Terrible. I mean, great CD, but all you do is you see Batman. You see Tales from the Crypt theme, The Simpsons, right? You don't see what you're working on. You just get that kind of thing. I used to think naively that if I'm writing a love story, I should play love songs, you know, or some kind of romantic kind of thing. I remember I tried to write something about a story called Unicorn Dreams, about like a failing marriage and a sad kind of like romantic kind of thing. I thought, oh, the Bodyguard soundtrack, Don't Laugh, was a big thing back in the day. But the problem was the music that is romantic then dictates the beats to what you're writing. You know what I mean? Even if it's not a soundtrack, it's just the song and the story, and it's unless it's exactly the motion you're trying to do, it tends to like almost force your story to follow its path. So now I just kind of play something random. Something that's not too close to it. It's almost like if you're on a road and by the river, you don't follow the river exactly. You want to be parallel to it, but if you drove mirroring the river, you're gonna fucking drive off the side, right? So something that's kind of off to the side a little bit, and you just go. So it's not exactly, my chair's creaking. It's not exactly what the mood you're writing for, but sort of similar to.
The script writing process, which first thing in the pre-production, was interesting because this is one of the most crucial parts in the process, because you have to come up with a movie and everything about it that's gonna stay strong throughout the whole process. I mean, and it has to be something good, because if it's just something you and your buddies are like, hey, this would be a great idea, and then you gotta stick with it for a year, maybe even longer, and then it's kind of like a mini test of time to see if it really was a good movie. But you have to make sure that whatever the original idea is, you have to make sure it's gonna be worth investing so much time, resources, so much of it goes into it. It has to be a good idea, otherwise it feels like waste of time.
The writing stage comes from like a loose idea, and you mold around kind of like a recipe. It's like, oh, okay, that was a pretty good sandwich. I could do that again. How would I fix it? And then it kind of just like clicks, and I'm gonna pursue this. Usually like passively, subconsciously, have an idea in your head. For me, it's like I get an idea, and I'll work on it, and either it works right away or I throw it away. And it's usually the ones that I throw away, I come back to like 6 months later and go, oh, I should have done this, and then I write it all down. And I write relatively fast. Once I have the idea, it's almost like my brainstorming. My first draft is in my head, and I'll write my second or third draft right out. I mean, I know it's one of those things where I don't play with it too much, maybe to my detriment, but it seems to work pretty well. Like the form's all there and the structure's there. It's like I can't be bothered to write it out, to actually commit the time to doing a draft if I don't see the structure to it. If I just have an idea, I'll mold around in my head when I'm doing dishes or on the potty bathroom. So really my pre-production starts with the second draft, and then it goes from there into, the first pre-production goes finding people that like the idea, somebody actually can help with it. At this level, it's not like I can go out and hire a crew. It's more of people want to work on something, you know, and I'll throw a script out, hoping, oh, everyone wants to make a movie, and they'll read it and they kind of go, not this one, or yeah, I'll do something on this one. So it's kind of like starting at the bottom, like a reverse funnel. You start off small and you kind of add people to it. Again, this level, you write and you aim straight, because I'll start ideas that are going to be huge, so I'll never be able to afford. I'll never do the, at this level, well, maybe someday, I'll never do like the full-on zombie apocalypse, World War Z Part 2, because I'm never going to find a million extras, or never for the kind of crew. But a smaller story, that's the kind of thing that I like to do, that I'm not so much big on that giant palette, does smaller stuff, it's like a reverse funnel where you want my idea, I'll find someone else to help out with, a couple of actors, some crew, and then go all the way up, and hopefully by the end I got like a dozen people to help out, and that's all pre-production because you don't go into production until you have all those pieces in place.
But once you have the script, then you're going to get to the casting process. And the casting process can be a pain in the ass. Because not only do you have to set up a time and a location to meet with all these different people. And not all of them, maybe even one out of 20 people are maybe worth your time. And they're going to show up. They're going to read, you have them read from like a single part from a script. And you have them, they come in, they read for the character they want to try and come for. They give you a actor's resume, which usually is a headshot and a list of like different things they've been involved in. And you also have them go for different parts just to see how they would respond. And not only do you have them do it in front of you live, you record it off to the side, because sometimes you notice things just kind of are different on camera versus in person. The same way how if you listen to a recording of your own voice, it sounds different to you than the way it sounds to you as it's vibrating through your inner ear as you speak.
The fact that a friend of mine was filming it, so I told him I'd act in it.
I like to take opportunities that are different, things I haven't done before. They say opportunity knocks at your door only once. So I like to have an open door. So when Nick asked if I wanted to do this, it didn't take long for me to say yes.
Yeah, man. I have worked with Nick in the past on a few films, so I know how he deals with the people that he works with. So that was incentive for me to do this one.
Try it out. You can't do nothing wrong with trying it. If you don't like it, just finish a movie, or don't even finish a movie. Just say I don't like it, and you would just completely cut out the part, or get a different person. I mean, a lot of people won't put their time in it if they're not getting something out of it. And this is a individual filmmaking. It's a start of something greater. So we can't pay anybody. But if you have a passion to act, and if you think you can act and want to spend your time acting, find Nick Rasmussen, Facebook.com, hit him up. He will get anything you want. He has movies every year.
Casting, not so much of a pain in the ass, but it can get pretty close. Casting, as long as you gotta have people number one thing I would say, make sure that the people that you get to be actors and crew, make sure that it's fun for them, they're mutually interested in doing this, because if they don't have a common interest in doing this, they're gonna bail before the movie even gets off its feet. And those are the people you don't want on your set.
Scary, each time, and that's scary as a writer. I've never really cast anything that I hadn't had the writer on. I've never gone in. I mean, I've done like advising on certain things and like had an opinion and kind of sat in on stuff. But the writer in me is afraid that the cast isn't the person that I wrote it in my head, which is stupid because I mean, you're not gonna. I mean, if I was so married to the image in my head, I should just write books. You know what I mean? Because books is one person, one vision, one idea. Then it's one story. There's no synergy. There's no coming together. If I was so control hungry, if I needed to control, I should just write books because then it's just one vision. The casting process it's scary as the writer. It's exciting as a director though, because here you go, and it also lays on the fears of the writer. Did I write good enough? Now I'm going to cast it over here. This person's better than I wrote, so it's kind of like scary for the writer. Oh, it's better than me. Oh my god! But as a director, it's like, oh, this person's going to make it look better. This person's going to tell the story I'm trying to do.
Actually, no. The next part, once you have a full cast and crew, which can take forever, you have to start going through the scheduling process, which usually is accumulating information on everyone's work schedules. Like, okay, so-and-so has Saturday off, so-and-so has Sunday off. And you try once you have all this information about who's available and when and who isn't available where, once you have all that, you have to find sort of a middle ground to have everyone in. So that way, everyone's free on these days. They come and show up. Another thing I find that's really helpful, especially with independent film, is the fact that since we work on such a low budget, we can't pay anybody. Like, the only person I've paid is a professional exotic dancer. Yes, exotic dancer. I believe that's a professional term. But that was for gas, because she lives so far away, and she was willing to do it. So, other than that, I haven't paid anybody. All the money has gone towards equipment, props, and
You paid for food.
food. Yeah. Oh my gosh, the food. I started paying, like, compensating everyone for their time by buying them dinner, and that is a nightmare because food around here costs like $10 a meal. And with like a couple, like, I don't even know how, but it was like $100 every freaking time we went to shoot, and I was like, this is gonna break me because I don't make that much money. Yeah, so, and we had to like do a shoot day a week, and we would only do 3 shoot days every month, and that was actually too slow. So it's so difficult because everyone's got other things in their lives that they were dedicated to, and it's hard. Scheduling is going to be the most hardest thing a filmmaker has to hurdle over to make a movie.
But as far as scheduling goes, if you schedule by your shot, not by your scene, it's easier to schedule because then they come in, they go bam, 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 they're out of there. You know.
Well, it all depends on everybody's schedule. But in an ideal world where nobody's employed and everybody is able to be on your beck and call, and you can just round up everybody at your leisure.
Story of it was like, the hell is he talking about? This don't make sense at all. I mean, it was like, way over my head, you know? But then we started filming, and I started working on it a little bit more, so, I started to understand it a little bit. It's decent now that I understand it.
I said I'm going to be behind you so you don't go to the wall so soon.
Safety.
Safety.
Safety
Go for it.
first. Did you guys all take the OSHA safety training course?
I did.
Yeah, I did.
That sucks. Yes, it does.
I'm gonna walk you through it. Okay, ready? Ready? Quick turn. Okay, now pull it out. Nope, left leg. So when he swings, left arm, and then swing again, right arm, and then twist it, knock him out, and slam him against the wall like that.
All in one motion.
I'm getting the shadow.
I was curious where the script's going to go. He's been talking about it a lot, and it's kind of those things where I get a snippet here, then I see something else later on. It's kind of like watching stop motion, where you see all the pieces and you see when it actually gets put together. It's kind of neat seeing how it goes from being Nick talking about this crazy abstract kind of thing, and then all of a sudden seeing the pieces come together. I'm kind of curious what happens at the end.
Okay, how about you, Tom?
He was told he had to be in it.
Another dead body character.
Yeah. He's typecast as a corpse.
I want to say it's like Scrabble.
Like what?
Like the game Scrabble.
Really?
You get a lot of, different things you don't know you're gonna get, but somehow you're able to pull it all together and make it work.
I don't mind love stories, but it would be weird because you would have to find a woman that's willing to pretend to be in love with you. And if you're not paying them, they might not want to do it.
Without giving too much away.
Well, obviously it doesn't suck because you're doing the movie.
Exactly.
It's interesting. It reminds me a lot of kind of a Tron thing going on. at least in a. I could draw a little bit of parallels to Tron, like just it's in a cyber universe, and there's neon colors and just odd lights going about. It's not matrixy that it's uniform, at least like with a color palette, because there's always going to be greens and blues and neon reds and electric blues and like just a lot of dynamic colors make it more like Tron, whereas it's more actiony like Matrix possibly.
It's very good, real original.
Say it's different. It's not normally what you would think of when you hear Cyber Enforcer.
And it's got elements of science fiction, but also just general laws and other things like that, like Murphy's Law. And I think a lot of it really has to do with the abuse of power.
If I want to get philosophical about it, probably a story of redemption. A guy's trying to either run away, confront, just trying to figure out what he needs to do about those demons of his past.
Because, yeah, I can understand. I see what you're talking about as far as underneath his elbows.
It's making it narrow? Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. From my angle, well, of course you...
See how that does?
It's brung it down somewhat, but not...
Okay, yeah, the direct. We'll just angle it away.
Yeah.
I'd say the message with this would probably be the same thing. That if you're in power, to not abuse it. But also with Murphy's Law, it's where you have a lot of something, you don't need it. But if you want something, then you just can't seem to get any of it.
I don't know.
No?
No, I mean, and then again, we've seen these little snippets. One of the neat things that Nick let us do is kind of see what we're doing, and then we're going to see at the end. So I'm hoping the message isn't like, vote Republican. I'm hoping it's something different, but I mean, I'm curious what it's gonna say at the end.
So you really don't know the story, so?
No, I know the story, but I mean, as far as the message to it, I mean, if there's entertainment, but I mean, I'm curious what Nick's gonna do with it. It's interesting. It's fun. It's playing with the cop story over a cyber story, putting in a little bit of hot dogs. It's kind of like Nick. It's a little bit schizophrenic in a nice way.
In the movie, we have a hologram stripper who, hopefully, through the movie, the audience gets that this is a program that looks like the predecessor to the Cyber Enforcer, which is why he's bent out of shape for most of the movie. I was searching around, like, everywhere I could think of. Nobody would try this because they thought, porn. Like, no, it's not porn. It's just you're wearing a sexy outfit, which, again, how's that different from any other day?
Well, porn in general, I don't mind. It's a thing. Everybody's got their own kink. As for being offered a position to work on a porno, at first it's going to be awkward because I'm going to want to get acquainted with the actors and say like, okay, I'm a professional. I swear. Get the awkwardness and pleasantries out of the way, and then straight face. Well, I tell them that they're wrong because just because you work as a filmmaker, that you have no set goals, that you just settle for going for porn. Not that porn's a low standard to go, because it's a job. I'm sure it's a high paying job because it's in demand. But to assume that somebody goes into porn because they're a filmmaker is just kind of ridiculous, honestly.
Definitely confidence. Being confident in what I'm wearing, and also confident that I could do what I was asked to do. Obviously, Nick wouldn't have asked me to do this part if he didn't think I could pull it off. So the confidence he installed in me, you know, gave me the confidence, but it was still definitely a challenge to get over.
Yeah, and the other thing is really just making time for the film.
2.5 hour drive for one line.
And lots of strippers.
And lots of stripper puns.
I go at my high school. It's winter, and they're walking in 6-inch high heels and mini skirts, and I'm like, what? Anyway, so finally I was on Facebook, and I was talking to a friend of mine that I met on Facebook about it, and she was surprisingly all for it, and I was like, are you sure? Are you serious? And I was completely shocked because I thought I was just hearing or reading what I wanted to read. So, but yeah, she called me up. She lives ways away, so I reimbursed her for gas money, but yeah, so that's how that happened, and oddly enough, we've gotten more attention from that because I don't know, it's something to put on a resume.
The movie, though, the Roxana Black character is actually like a long-lost love of cyber enforcers, too, so it's not really so much that it's sexist. It's like his dead love.
It's like the blow-up doll with the ex-girlfriend's name written across it.
Exactly, yes.
You know, or like, you know, blow up doll with a picture of the the long lost love,
So
picture taped on it.
It may seem like we're being sexist, but actually it's very,
It's written as, like, it's written, like, deep and meaningful. How you judge it afterwards, whether it be, she's just portrayed as this, like, as this fuck toy or whatever. It's like, well, one, it's a hologram, but two,
it's kind of like going back to when they were talking to Barbara Eden about I Dream a Genie, how feminists were wondering why she would play a role that almost demeans women into a position of slavery, where she mentioned, like, well, Genie is not a woman, she is a genie.
Yeah.
Therefore, not part of that rule.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, in this case, like, it's a projection of programming. That's what she's supposed to be. She just happens to take the form of a scantily clad memory.
It just made it more fun because there'd be situations, having not ever worked on a film before and not knowing what most of the story is about, we definitely had some situations where I was standing where I wasn't supposed to be, and they're like, go, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. So it definitely just made everything a lot more fun.
And honestly, I think she's one of the nicest people I've met. And I've never met a stripper before, so that was a first.
Say, I look behind me, there's a guy with a camera. Say, what now?
Yep. Not you.
Blooper reel.
Well, it's for the if you want movie. Me to bring it down.
Yeah. I need a close-up of your chest.
This is fun, yeah. Having Jessica around is a lot of fun. Working with her again, worked through a lot of things. And any chance for me to wear a tie.
Yeah. Camera speeding.
Okay. Scene 1, Apple, take 4. Mark. Action.
Why do these assholes keep deleting sprites?
Am I pretty? Doug Captain.
Camera speeding. That's speeding.
Do we get a still?
Wear a tie.
What?
Just.
Did you have fun today?
Yes.
Yeah. How come?
It's fun for a dead body.
But you don't want to get up and go?
No. Dead body.
Well, so far I've been enjoying my the time that I have been working on Cyber Enforcer, because I have been working on other stuff too. But the times I've had have just been nothing but like just fun. We're always laughing about something. We're always lighthearted. And just we're cool. We're all friends. You know, and I just like these. I just like the discussions in the company. I guess frankly I lead a boring life.
And then we'll get just the voice track of Norman reading lines, so that way we have a perfect set in case, yeah.
Give me some speaking.
But then we'll get
really
Dan's coverage, and then a wide walking away.
Can you even see?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we gotta get Norman sliding down, and then the blow-up scene. So after Norman's coverage, then we gotta get him sliding down, then the blow-up scene. Okay.
Okay.
I like it. Yeah, we got. Is there a way to keep this hose like in the middle of the shoulder blades?
Tape?
Like run down the back?
Belt or something?
How many takes we had to do after a while? Well, it wasn't that bad, but it can feel like it starts to drag on a little bit. But I guess that's part of the process.
You haven't seen it, have you? The script or anything?
No.
So, because Tom we got the call. Okay, come in. Nick needs him as an actor. Okay, what am I doing? And then it was he has to sit there and play a corpse. Tom's okay, looking at the screen's full of porn. He's okay. And then it's like, then I says, is his hair okay if it's green? And then I told him he's wearing a helmet. And Tom's like, what? So it's like he understood watching porn. He's 14. He understood being dead, you know. But like the helmet was too much for him. Now he was like, I don't know what he's going with this. So I think he wanted to show off his beautiful locks.
No.
So he's kind of miffed about that. We should green screen him. See if his head disappears or not.
I forgot what the hell it was.
Yeah, you didn't know what the helmet was. And he was fine with being a dead. He was fine with looking at, you know, I mean, Nick said it was fake, and he was actually seeing anything for real. But he was really curious of why he had to wear a helmet. I think he was thinking of like, self-inflicting injuries kind of helmet. I don't think he realized it was like a VR helmet, so he was more worried about that. I think. I don't know.
Hello, guys. My name is Troy Spidell, aka Boss, Mr. Green. I'm the co-star of this film. You will learn more about me later. Anywho, I'm gonna drink a little bit of piss. This piss is for a scene that we're doing. It's about a kid who don't leave his room, so he has to relieve himself somehow, you know. So I'm gonna take a drink of this, and I hope you guys enjoy it. And like I said, my name is Troy Spidell. You will see me later. Now that is some warm piss right there, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good night.
What does it taste like?
Tastes like ramen noodles.
How well it went, how easily everyone got along, and we were able to crack some jokes, have a good time with it.
Counterclockwise a little bit. No, counterclockwise.
Your other clock.
Yeah, your other clock.
How far? This far?
That works.
And by the way, he was going clockwise. You wanted him to go clockwise.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Fuck. Yes, fuck.
We all know what you meant.
Okay.
Well,
about time somebody did. We did.
Oh, well, I did, but
alright.
I
didn't. Dan, go a little bit more to your right. Sorry, I'm meat puppeting right now.
Stop being a meat puppet.
I'm sorry.
Always do.
Alright, that there's good.
That's awesome.
Norman, go to your right a little bit. Ooh, that looks great. That looks awesome. Alright.
I think he's popping a wood.
I am popping a wood a little bit. This is pretty cool. No, I'm kidding. I'm not
I'll
kidding.
do the whole
This is
take
cool.
like this.
Alrighty.
Full scene, one
Sam.
I've been everything, but I can't recall being a cameraman before because you wouldn't, the camera person, the director, Nick Rasmussen, wouldn't let me touch a camera. So I wasn't actually a cameraman, but I was a boom operator. I was materials. I was assistant director, assistant producer. I was places that you film at. I was everything besides a cameraman.
The Walk was forever ago. The Walk was the summer before film school started. And as far as pre-production goes, I had a location. I had a couple of actors who I could bribe into being it by feeding them because one was my kid.
A standard crew is, if you're lucky, about 5-6 people. That's not including the actors and actresses, obviously. But yeah,
probably the boom, because I just don't like holding that fucker. I don't like holding it. It's too touchy. You have to be steady as a mother fudger, and it's just, I can't do it. I don't like the boom operator. That's dumb.
Yes, what I will do for any shoot day is I will plan the crap out of things. I will overthink every possible scenario that could go wrong and have 5 plans in case that happens. One of the sayings I can remember since childhood, hope for the best and prepare for the worst. So true, because there was one day where we had equipment break down, or we had actresses and actors cancel on us, and we'd have to find something like, okay, well, if they're not here or this isn't working, what can we do not to make the day a total waste, and then try and pick it up again at a future date. And you have to stay really flexible. Like, every part in your plan for the day, just the day. Like, I've been scheduling stuff per shoot day. I haven't scheduled, like, for the whole movie we're going to film from September to whenever. We're going to be showing up every Monday, Tuesday. No, we went a day at a time, because things do not go according to plan. Plan A usually never happens. It's going to be like Plan B if you're lucky, but it's usually in like the F's, Plan F, Plan G.
He's pretty good. And the schedule was, I had a weekend where we had enough ravioli in the house to feed the whole crew and cast. The location was open. We had, scheduling is tough when you have to have someone for 10 minutes here and then 2 days later for an hour, or a day here and there. If you have to like take a whole day to guess, but if you know your shots, if you know exactly what you have to have a piece of, so if you are writing, not like that's like a director and editor, but if you write like the editor, knowing what to write, where it's going to fall in the final piece, you don't need to waste time with scheduling out for a whole week. If I know I need a reverse shot or like a reaction shot on someone here, I know I need a shot of what they're looking at here, I can schedule so I just get her reaction shot, I can get her walking and her approach, and then when she's not there, I can shoot it by myself, what she's looking at, right? So I don't need to waste her time with having the talent being on set while I'm getting the same thing, because then I can schedule myself pretty easy. If I'm smart enough and I'm anal enough about it to really compose my shots, not just by scene, and that's the difference between in pre-production, planning out, because a lot of times you'll plan out your schedule with your AD and whatnot by going by scenes. Okay, if you go by scenes, you know this character is in this scene, I need to have him that day. On a really small scale like The Walk, when it's only like a 5-minute piece, if you go by a shot list, not by the scene, because the scene, again, that person's in that scene, but then not every single shot. If you go by a shot list, the POV, what they're looking at, they don't have to be there. So you can get down and just, as long as you don't mind driving around by yourself, you can make your schedule, make your day a lot easier if you do all the legwork before. And that's why pre-production, they say that your film is made in casting with the right people, but your AD work, your actual on the set, your money is saved by the time it takes in pre-production. You know, you can plan out. The walk was only a 5-minute thing. We shot for 2 days. I mean, again, 2 days, 5 hours, a couple of pickup shots. But it was all planned out in the writing stage, so I knew everything I needed to have when I had them. And it's not just a question of schedule, it's a question of people's tolerance. You're not paying them to help you out, right? Especially, no, I can't pay anybody. I give them ravioli, for God's sakes. But you're paying them in tolerance and being polite, so you don't want to waste their time. They're on the set, and it was the worst thing when we're setting up a shot, and everyone's sitting around there on their own. They're being nice, they're being awesome, they're going to help us out. And I look around, they're sitting down, and they should sit down, they can rest all they want, but they're bored. And it's like, I'm wasting their time, so we're going to quick here, get this shot, run through, reset it, quick, go through again. And then when they're all gone, I can go out with the camera, because I was going to use, I Foleyed the sound and just some wind over top of it. I didn't have good sound equipment back then. And I could shoot those things by myself and then have it ready to go. So,
there's been a couple conflicts between me and Nick Rasmussen. It's just with me working all the time. He wanted me to come after working 12 hours or doing a washout on a machine, and I was tired, and he was pissing me off, so I bit his head off. But it just happens, you know.
I mean, from what I recall, everything's been good. I mean, maybe once or twice that I can't recall, I might have had to pull a Mama Rose moment, but, you know, to kind of pull everybody back together. But then again, I don't really remember those moments. So.
Have you ever had any actors or actresses on set, or even crew members, that have given you problems to the point where you had to fire them?
No, I've not. Probably because I never actually paid anyone, so I can't fire them if I don't pay for them. But no, I've never had a problem with anybody. You know.
The typical day isn't just everybody gets together and shoots one time around and voila, it's done. The typical day can last, just depending upon how things go. You got one person doing the film, another one doing the audio, and then other things. But again, that also depends on how large the crew is.
Well, obviously with sound, I've checked out equipment for him, since he can't. But most of the, makeup work, special effects, and, just kind of how the thing looks. Maybe it's maybe holding a boom mic or setting up a light or something, but otherwise I've just kind of been sitting in the corner playing with my little makeup kit and just putting latex on my hand and just peeling it off like you do in elementary school with rubber cement. Wait for it to dry and just peel it off.
Yes, what I will do for any shoot day is I will plan the crap out of things. I will overthink every possible scenario that could go wrong and have 5 plans in case that happens. One of the sayings I can remember since childhood, hope for the best and prepare for the worst. So true, because there was one day where we had equipment break down, or we had actresses and actors cancel on us, and we'd have to find something like, okay, well, if they're not here or this isn't working, what can we do not to make the day a total waste, and then try and pick it up again at a future date. And you have to stay really flexible. Like, every part in your plan for the day, just the day. Like, I've been scheduling stuff per shoot day. I haven't scheduled, for the whole movie we're going to film from September to whenever. We're going to be showing up every Monday, Tuesday. No, we went a day at a time, because things do not go according to plan. Plan A usually never happens. It's going to be Plan B if you're lucky, but it's usually in the F's, Plan F, Plan G.
About maybe, again, this might be pushing it, but just to make it nice and smooth, about 7 to 10.
Yeah, most difficult deadlines, working with
props I've never worked with before, and just finding a point where I'm satisfied with the end result, while also it looking decent or good to the director.
No, it's not gotten the Plan Z, thank goodness. Oh my gosh. There was one day where our actor Troy Spidell, there was concern that he wasn't going to be able to show up on set for his big scene that he does where he meets the Cyber-Enforcer for the first time. And so I had to think of what we could do to get around that. So if he shows up, great. If he didn't, we had to find a stand-in for him that either looks something like him, or we'd have to shoot everything we shot from there would be behind the guy that's standing in for him. So we'd shoot it Troy's face later, once we're getting the other side of the conversation. Or if we didn't get anyone at all, we'd have to get. I would have to stand in, and it would increase the number of jobs for all the crew. And the very worst thing is that you have to cancel.
Worked with my own, which is a Canon 60D, but then the instructor, he had us revolve around a Mac 2 and a Mac 3 as far as standard cameras that we used. But then there are a few other ones that we used also.
If you had a female actress who's very uncomfortable with being on a film set, what words of comfort would you give her?
Well, I'd need to figure out what she's feeling uncomfortable about. Probably to reassure her that I got her back, you know, being the only female in a class, but in a film program consisting only of guys. Being in a field that's male dominated. It's a little intimidating, but you gotta bite the bullet. Tell them what for. Just do your own thing. And not worry what they have to say. Because people say stupid stuff to try to get you down. You just gotta ignore it and just come up with something better.
So much. So much has been there's way too much to even go into. My general experience has been, I have found myself really taking to heart the independent part of that independent filmmaker title. It's, granted, I mean, you're not doing it by yourself, but it's felt like I've been the primary horse driving the. Yeah, it's a lot of willpower. I feel like I'm slowly becoming a manager, like the business side of managing, because you feel like, okay, you got this company, and you got all these employees, and you got to organize them. And something I try doing though on set is I try to keep it fun for people. I don't ever cruelly yell at people on set. I don't, somebody's disagreeing with me. I try not to cruelly yell at people. One, just from my own experience being an employee at other places, which I won't name because I'm pretty sure they'd sue me if I did that, is that whenever managers yell, everyone hates it. Everyone gets pissed off. Nobody gets it. I mean, sometimes you gotta yell at people so they get their shit together, but since no one's getting paid, at any time they're gonna walk out. They're donating their time to me, working on this project. So I try to generally be as nice as I can be. Try to be like, if anyone has questions or problems, I try to be super crystal clear on what it is. Try to figure out what we're not getting quite right in the communication, and then just problem solve. The smallest crew I've ever had is just me. This I wouldn't recommend it. The largest crew I've ever had so far has been 15 people for a separate project. But it's the more people you have on set, the lighter the workload gets, because you have to have a camera person, you have to have actors, you have to have sound, you have to have lights, you have to have somebody making sure everyone's following the script as close as possible. There's a lot of different things that go into it, which you're not really fully aware of it unless you're actually trying to do it, because I've been to theaters where me and my friends will go see a movie and we'll be like, oh, that looked really easy, I bet we could pull that off in one night. No. So much. There's things that get planned that people don't even perceive of when they're just watching the movie. There's so much.
Well, now the tables have turned, haven't they? So, sir, how did you like working on this set?
Yeah, I gotta say, since I had to have my DP, no, not my DP, my assistant director become an actor, and I had to take over for that. That was a pain in the ass, but yeah, definitely have more crew members than what you need, because if you have less, then you gotta do more work. So I recommend having a lot of people on your crew.
And what was your favorite part about this?
My favorite part is that the last take with the plates got done really well, and that nobody died. Although I think it would be cool to light somebody on fire one of these shoots.
It would.
Yeah. But preferably outside.
Possibly you.
Possibly.
I would love to, except I don't like burn marks. You know, I don't like the smell of burnt stuff.
You know?
Yeah, like burnt pizza.
Yeah.
The charred flesh smells so good.
It does.
Yeah.
So what was your least favorite part then?
Just scheduling. Scheduling was my least favorite because, one, I had a bunch of people canceled. There was issues with weather, since now we're in frickin' the middle of November and it's snowing, which is kind of weird because the past couple of years it was late winter. So
I know, right?
Yeah.
But it was coming though. We had a hard winter due though, I think.
Yeah. But yeah, then I had to fill in for our main actor, which that's sad, but you know, what has to be done has to be get done, and hopefully not a lot of people notice.
Well, hey.
Hulk shorts.
Hey, on the upside, you're a star.
Yeah, I get to make it. I'm like Quentin Tarantino now.
Yeah.
I make a small, like, 2-second intro into my own film.
How do you feel about that?
Sad.
Really? How come?
That I'm not featured in my movies more.
And just so everybody's clear, Nick and me and Nick are gonna start freelancing business, so keep an eye out on us.
Have a brother? Oh, okay, I got you.
Nick, me, and I.
I'd like to thank a couple of people. First of all, me, myself, and I, and then my counterparts. My hands, my feet, my brain most of all, and my toes.
Don't forget about your ego.
No, that's not body part.
No, but it's.
Oh, my kidney. And actually, no,
His ego could be a spiritual part.
my heart was in a lot of this, but
Yeah.
I have to say my rectum. No, I'm done. Alrighty, let's clean up a bit, and that way we don't. Once we get done eating, we can just haul all the stuff out.
Wait. We gotta put you on camera.
So creepy.
Oh no, I was thinking.
In Scratchers, I wanted to have, not B-roll, but I wanted to have a reverse shot. Scratchers is a movie about a guy who did stand-up comedy at the end of the movie, a little like open mic night. I wanted a shot of over the shoulder behind the talent on stage, seeing not just what he saw, but also the audience too. I wanted him in the frame too, because you kind of see him performing, and I wanted to be able to shoot the audience. To do that, I would have to relight the whole, because I had all the lights in the audience on him. To get the shot, I would have had to kill all our lights, and didn't have time to do it. So I got one shot over his shoulder where I barely crop out the two lights on the one side, and I kind of hoped that it looked like a bar light. And I wish I would have that shot still. Now looking back, it works. I mean, I edited the hell out of it. It kind of works, but I still wish I had that shot right at that time. I think another question is along that line is the time is like, oh, there's time and there's money, but time, as far as we mentioned before, as far as people's patience, right? Again, I'm asking for them to volunteer time and volunteer their talent. It's more of a question of how many takes can I do before I start pissing them off or getting them worn out. And then there's two sides of that. One is, how many times do I do a take before the performances start getting stale? Because you can only say the line so many times. I mean, I'm not Kubrick. I'm not going to do it a million takes, 100 takes. After a while, it starts getting kind of stale. You got to practice. You have to rehearse, because sometimes you get up to where they don't find the magic to a scene, the groove to it, until like a couple attempts. Then once they find it, the more you do it, the worse it gets. The other side of that is, how many times do they do a take before the talent gets bored? Goes, why are we doing this again? Why can't he make up his mind? Why can't he just find it? I've never had a case where they've gotten bored, probably because I'm too paranoid that I'm going to wear out my welcome. So if I have 4 takes and I think I have it, and I know I have it, and I don't want to stop on their generosity, I'll run with 4. I've been told I should do more takes, but again, I'm trying to get a whole day done. But again, it's like I listen to Joe Lynch says it all the time: is you don't go to watch a movie and then sit in the audience, look up at the screen, and go, "Oh wow, those guys they finished their day, they got their day." No, the performance is what matters. If I need to get 12 takes, I should do 12 takes. But I'm too non-confrontational to really push that sometimes. I probably should do it more. I have had cases where I've had people that aren't prepared, and had to, like, on the set, work around that, and it then have to be a question of, okay, did all these actors have learned their lines, prepared, know what they're doing, and then this actor came in, again, as a favor, so I can't get mad, and hadn't done their homework, and then had to find a way to shoot that and be very diplomatic about that, and that's tricky. But I mean, it's one of those things where I'm glad I had to do that on a freebie set, and I'm not paying the crew to stand around while someone has to learn their lines, because then it's like we're all in the same boat. If I'm paying the whole crew, and who knows what would be different, if I'm paying all the crew, whether it's my money or someone else's money, and one person is holding up, I would feel like I owe it to the person whose wallet I'm stealing to fire that person and start over, Now, it's a similar when you're shooting on film versus digital. When you're shooting on digital, whether the card fills up or not, you can go and you can reset the format, and that just takes a few minutes to format the card or find a new card. It takes a few minutes. Shooting on film, that's the whole thing. You're burning money each time the camera's on, right? So you want to go in, and then that is the money again. That's the money that someone paid for the film. And I've never shot film that I paid for. I've had a producer they foot the bill. And that's weird, because then you're trying to direct it from the story, and you're trying to be you're trying to tell the story the way the story wants to be told, but then you still have this voice in your head saying, yeah, but this guy's paying for it. You know what I mean? It's like if you're making dinner for someone, even though you think you need to put basil in it, like I know how to cook at all, like you need to put this kind of seasoning on it, but this person over here ordered the meal at the restaurant, even though I swear it says basil, but they said no basil, you don't put basil in it because they're paying for the meal. When the producer's paying for film, or the crew, and I haven't had the situation yet. I had it once, and then the producer was great. He's okay, keep doing it, but don't waste time. It's tricky, because then you have to figure out what's the best way of doing it.
During the post-production process, it's when all the footage has been shot, and the movie's like in the can, so to speak, from the stock footage days. And
all that's left is the editing, just putting all the scenes together, and sometimes the editor, who usually hopefully is a separate person, because
depending on how big it is, I've put together a couple little short things, and there's a difference between a short film of like 20-40 minutes feature and then like 2-minute short. If it's a 2-minute short, I will write it, shoot it, edit it, speed it, all in the same day, a 2-minute thing kind of thing. Something longer, 20-minute, 40-minute, obviously, but we'll say features the same thing. After you're done writing it, and the writing can go from first, second, third draft right to production draft, the time it takes to work on it, the time it takes to shoot it, and then what I do then is after I shoot it, then I want to go through, you can ask this in a little bit maybe, then I take the footage and I process, I sync it all up, I label it, I order, I shelve it, I put it in, I sync up my audio, I maybe do a rough cut. Not a rough cut, an assembly cut. So I do like the 4-hour cut, where you have 12 takes, everything. Then I stop. And I've tried to do the assembly cut into a rough cut. That doesn't work. Because then I'm just going, okay, it's just too much all at once. It needs to process a little bit. So that's when I take time off. Now, if I was rich, I'd take a month off and go on vacation to Barbados, because it's fun to pronounce. But then after I've made the assembly cut and before I do the rough cut, then I'll write something else, and then I'll talk about ideas, and whether it's again, the luxury of being a student means you can take time off and do something else, and you don't have any kind of deadlines. If I had a deadline for a project, then you don't have a choice. You have to do it right away, and I think that hurts the project. But it's after the assembly cut, before the rough cut, is when I'll do the next project, whether it's pitching ideas, I knock over your lamp, or it's just writing a rough draft, or it's just talking about things. But usually I will divorce myself from that project to let it simmer, to let it marinate. You can tell I'm hungry. A lot of food references. So that's when I do that.
Okay. So I got Macintosh for Christmas, and I just felt like I needed to play with this thing, because I couldn't resist. So I started throwing footage into the computer, which I did through the use of an external hard drive, which was like $109 at Best Buy. That's actually cheaper. It's so good because then the computer's like slow as hell because it's got all these files on it. Some of them you don't use because they're false takes. But once you get a rough, the whole movie roughly put together, then you have to do all the fine tuning. I mean, for the camera audio, you don't ever really use, other than to sync it with the audio from the boom, which is totally separate. And you do that with a slate, which you see like marker. It's like with all the numbers and zigzags. And that helps you pick a single point to line everything up. And once you get all that footage, and it takes forever. This is very time consuming. And once you get all that synced together, then you go through the process of getting all the clips together, you figure out, then you're watching for okay, so this cup was on the table, and then in this next shot, it's not on the table, it just totally disappears. So you have to find things that fit together visually as well as sound. So if someone's in the middle of a sentence while you're switching camera angles, and they're separate audio recordings, you'll have to find a spot, the cut, so a pause in between, like S's, right where they get to the S, and then slice right there, find that exact spot on the other clip, and then slap those together, and it's but overlapping is really good too, as well. Once you have a good rough or a good cut of the whole movie together, then you have to move on to fine-tuning, like the special effects, color correcting, just the little, you slap it all together, then you just pick at little things until it's perfect, as best as it can be.
After taking a break and letting your subconscious do across it, of course, and then it's logically you would go from beginning to end and just make the movie out of it. I, for some reason, go into the beginning. I don't mean the last shot. I mean the last scene. For some reason, I think it's daunting to look at the project and knowing you've got months of work to do in editing something. It's like when you're writing like a novel or a long story. I always start on chapter 2, and I don't do chapter 1 first, because chapter 1, the blank screen, it's too easy to get like, oh, deer in headlights. If I sit down on the assembly cut and I try and do, and it's just even a question of your timeline. You have the timeline, all these things, having to push things back, and I don't do by reel because you don't have to anymore. I mean, if I was doing it actually, cut and paste and on a Moviola, then I'd be like, you have to go by reel and how many different scenes. But with on a non-linear, non-destructive, you have it on one timeline, it doesn't matter. So I will start at the end just because of ease, because I can move stuff around a little bit. And for some reason, I start at the end, looking from your point of view, I start at the end, I edit that together, and I slide stuff forward, almost to the whole thing, and I'll pick my shots. But again, it's not the last shot, it's the last scene. And I'll go backwards, and I'll pick the next one and go that way. So it's like kind of, you have a bunch of knots or a crochet, you kind of pull out the slack, start at the end, go to the beginning, then I'll swing back and forth, If something gets stale, in some part, I go to somewhere else and I jump something over, right? And that's like, I was liking it to like the Cylons from Battlestar Galactica, or Kit, the little light in the front of the car from Knight Rider. I just pendulum, at Grandpa would be more of a literary reference. I just go back and forth, beginning to end, and I swing back and forth until I finally get to where I like it, So that's editing, and that's the whole thing. Now beyond that, take a break again, and add sound on, do the sound edit after you lock the picture. And then when that's done, you have the I like to do sound next, because just in case something comes across I need to bump up. And then after all that's done, then I'll do the color. And that's probably my weakest, I should say weakest, because I'm trying to be an egotist and be, how awesome I am. But that's what I need to do, bring other people in and say, hey, help me out here, what your eyes are. Because I've noticed that my eyes, I'll be satisfied with the look of it, because for me it's a story, and it's a visual thing, but it's also like, what they're saying, what they're doing is more important than like how pretty it is. So I'll bring in my fiance who has the eyes, and she'll go, that could be prettier. And she doesn't mean pretty like it has to be like, pretty and pink. She's like, that arterial spray, make that a little bit redder. It'll be prettier in red. It'll be more aesthetically pleasing to a gorehound's eye.
Two things. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing that stripper scene on the big screen, and also the fight scene with me and Troy.
You're done. You don't get to go first anymore.
I'll just shut up now.
I want everyone to be happy with what they see on the screen. And I want Nick to get the recognition he deserves for, putting together this idea and helping noobs at everything. But I just want people to know that Nick is out there and that he does good shit.
Yeah, knows what he wants in a film, and directs the people in the right way to where he can achieve exactly what's needed for the film.
My residuals. Yeah. My 10% cut. 12% cut. My 9% cut.
How about you?
I owe him 10%. Fuck. Okay.
Well, I'm hoping, but I'm always hoping for the success of the director. Always. I hope more people see the talent that he has, as well as like the actual talent by the actors and actresses, and hope to incorporate them into future projects.
Whenever I go approach people to be in movies, mostly women, because there's not really a lot of women that are doing independent film. The first thing that they think of is that we are filming porn, and that's just not true. I mean, we'll shoot stuff with like girls wearing hardly nothing, but I don't see how that's different than just walking around a normal day without a camera and seeing women practically wearing nothing anyway. So, hard to say. But what we do, I mean, I'm not opposed to filming porn, but because so many people think we're already shooting porn, it kind of puts me, I don't really want to do it after that, but, we'll shoot stuff that would be like in rated R films, so, like stuff like, exploitative stuff, I guess, that's as bad as we've ever gotten, but we've never shown topless women before. We've never... Hell, we haven't even had any real intimate scene other than the stripper that I hired to just say a line that had double meaning to it. That's about as bad as we've gotten so far as like sexual anything.
The size of it, the scope of it. Watching with an audience, if they're into it, if they laugh, it's funnier. If they scream, it's scarier. I don't do a lot of dramas in the theater because I don't cry with the audience. But it's a rare thing because then you get the audiences that just that talk during a movie and then I want to murder them all, or that have their phones on, or they're just being loud or whatever it is. But when the movie's really working with the audience and then everyone's laughing together, I love comedies with an audience, and then it's cool. And then but there's that point where that escapism, if you're in a theater or even in a living room with friends over or people, and they're not into it, and it distracts me. If I'm someplace and someone's on a phone, then I get self-conscious, well, I'm enjoying this, but now they're on their phone. It's are they, they're too good to watch the movie. They've been more important than are my priorities screwed up I'm watching a movie, and yet you were checking Facebook. That bugs me. And whether it's a theater or on a couch, that bugs me.
My picture on the big screen, baby! All the other YouTube videos, just on little computer screens, that have that many views, but if it actually gets into a movie theater and people pay to see it, not gonna lie, I'll be getting a boner. It's just the way it is. It's the way it is.
I thought this one turned out pretty well.
What are you looking forward to when this finally hits the big screen in theaters?
Seeing how well it turns out, seeing what people think.
It's nice that he asks, if we're comfortable with the scene, even if he thinks that it was a good take, he lets us redo it if we feel that it wasn't our best shot.
Yeah, exactly. And wants to make sure that we're comfortable doing the scene. And also to the point where it feels natural and doesn't feel like we're just reading it from a script.
Well, any project I'm working on, I'm hoping to see the final result.
I've been lucky because, as far as on the big screen, I've just had, screenings and, pretty limited. But then I do sit back. I'm always surprised if there's, a joke that I think is perfect and no one laughs at it. Then I take it personal. But then people will laugh at something I didn't think was that funny, and I'm surprised. I have a little 4-second cameo in Scratchers, and people get a laugh out of it. I've never figured out if they think what I say is funny or they think it's funny that it's me up there. So then it's not a true audience reaction, then it's people that know me reaction. I'm always curious if the joke I'm doing is funny or if it's me, because they know me or not. I'm more afraid before it starts than when I'm watching it. It's the anticipation of, okay, stage fright, even though you're not on stage. Once it starts, I'm okay. It's that lead up to it that I get kind of nervous.
Be willing to work on another movie? Yes,
Yeah.
I would be. Don't know with my job if I'm going to be able to be the star, but honestly, they would have to offer me a pretty good part for me to work. Not the star, maybe not even the co-star because of my hours, but a pretty big part in the movies. I would want to.
Yeah, I'd definitely be willing to work on another film. As far as the part, it wouldn't really be much of a difference. I just enjoy being in films, but I would definitely be willing to help out in the back too. Sound effects or lighting, anything really. Just to help out.
I got to use a little clacker thing for the first time. That was
yeah.
fun.
Well, I'm currently working on a sort of horror-ish drama. But I want to work with, or I want to make drama with sort of supernatural aspects to it, or abnormal things. Real life problems, but something just off about it that's in a realm of fantasy. Currently writing a script right now about about a android male boyfriend, or a mailed-in boyfriend that turns out he was shipped to someone who ends up making him go through an abusive relationship. But so I finished writing the first draft. I just need to. I want to expand more upon it since I finally pitched it, or pitched it with the group, and they're talking about seeing like if I can make it feature length. So.
I don't think they need to be enticed. I think if they're going to do it, they're going to do it. You know, I think if someone needs to be talked into it, they're not going to do it. You know, I could see enticing to work with them. I could see talking them into like joining us on a project. But if someone's going to be a filmmaker, they're going to be a filmmaker. You know what I mean? I think if someone needs to be convinced to do it, they should do something else. You know, it's the same with any kind of career. Someone needs to be talked into being a lawyer. Don't study law. I mean, you're going to just naturally go to it.
Sometime in the future, it's called Haunted Cries. It's a ghost mystery movie. You have a guy named Rick Lichty, who is a foreigner to Americans. Something tragic happened in his homeland, which we're going to just say, let's just say Germany. He moves to America to start over, and he starts up his practice in therapy, and he also tinkers around with medicine and detective investigations. And he discovers that a ghost walking around in this town, so he tries to learn more about them and try to figure out why is there ghosts, and he sort of obsesses over this thing because it's somehow, like, by figuring out what's wrong with why they're still here is going to help him figure out what happened to why he had to leave Germany. And there's been some character development with the ghosts, but there hasn't really been anything to what ties them together. So it's an ongoing thing, but in the process.
I guess it would depend on what Nick was asking me to do. I mean, I've already done a stripper, so I don't know.
Where can you go from there?
I can only go up, right? You know, next is a nurse. Do another sexy nurse or something. Eventually I'll get to, I don't know, a tree.
Sexy doctor.
Gotta work my way through college. That's how I started out stripping, and then I became a nurse. I got this. Figured out my own storyline.
Eventually you'll be a sexy senator.
There we go. Because that always...
Like, they're helpful in a sense. They're helpful to say, like, they're an outsider's perspective to say, okay, this is what's wrong with the film, here's what could have been done better, or this scene is just rubbish and needs to be pitched right away. How some of them go about said critique could be different. Now, they don't need to sugarcoat it and go like, well, you could possibly try this, or you could maybe do this. I'm sorry. No, but don't go Gordon Ramsay on the critiques, because that it crushes people. Like it can crush you, but be firm about it.
It's like what? Nap. A nap. What's the film? A nap. Yeah, first 3D nap experience. I feel like you're tricking us into legally signing something right now.
Rock and roll! Yeah!
Whoa, that was way too low.
You're peeking online.
So, Dan.
Yes.
Play us a little something. I know you were just now, but...
Okay, what do you want me to play?
Play something that you've personally written. Or not. totally forgot about this.
Jesus Christ.
Oops.
Just bullshit it.
Okay.
Things that you wrote that other people say they wrote and used and made millions on.
Okay. I suck. A lot of heavier shit. Not bad.
wasn't planning for that. That's what I meant.
Something like that.
Alright. I don't know what to say to that. Well, thank you very much, Dan. I can't think of any other questions for you, so...
Well, if you do, let me know.
Oh, I do have a question for you.
Okay.
Do you think it's fair for us to sell DVDs with behind the scenes and business cards and whatnot, pamphlets and all that, for, say, $5?
That sounds reasonable.
Do you think we
It does. I would pay $5 for it.
Wink, wink. Do you think we would be able to get away with more than that?
Oh man, for something like this priceless gem, I would pay upwards of $25, especially to that Dan Hansen.